The next 2 weeks for the Baltimore Ravens are going to be wild. Hell, it might be the next month. However long it takes for this team to get a head coach nailed down, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to cover it. But, this is the first head coach search for this team since I was 7 years old. The majority of this fan base, anybody who's 26 or younger, they have never known a head coach other than John Harbaugh. It is uncharted territory, and that's why I cannot wait to have it wall to wall for you guys right here on the Ravens Rundown. So make sure you subscribe to not miss any of it. And also, if you want the Ravens to have some good luck in this coaching search, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Okay, let's try to send as many good vibes as we can to Baltimore to help them crush this search for the new head honcho in Baltimore. Well, they've already started. Tom Pelissero reported earlier today that the Ravens requested an interview with Seahawks offensive coordinator Klint Kubiak for their head coaching job per source. That's 5 interview requests for Kubiak, who can interview for jobs during Seattle's playoff bye this week. Those 5 teams, Baltimore, Las Vegas, New York, Arizona, and Atlanta. And there is a reason that Klint Kubiak is such a hot name and a hot commodity across the National Football League. It's because he's got the Seattle Seahawks and their offense playing at such an elite level. Jackson Smith and Jigba looks unbelievable. Sam Darnold looks like Tom Brady. They got the number 1 seed in the NFC, and their head coach is Mike McDonald. So you know that offense is 100% run by Klint Kubiak. He's basically the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks offense. He's coached for a lot of different coaches. He's worked for a lot of different head coaches over the last few years, different stops, so he knows good ways to run a football team. He knows bad ways to run a football team. And a report came out yesterday that the Ravens are looking for somebody to, quote, invigorate Lamar Jackson. I think Klint Kubiak would do. So I'm not surprised they're interested. A lot of people are. Tom Pelissero also reported that the Ravens requested an interview with Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver for their head coaching job per source. Weaver played and coached for the Ravens and has been a finalist for multiple head coaching jobs in the past. Now, this should not be a surprise, okay? We've pretty much discussed Anthony Weaver as a possible option to be this team's next head coach since the very beginning of these rumors. Played for him, coached for him, and when we talk about Anthony Weaver, to me, he theoretically checks all my boxes. What I want in a head coach is a guy who's physical, who's aggressive, who preaches toughness, who builds relationships with players, and has that run through a brick wall kind of likability about him. That every single player who plays for this guy says, I would run through a brick wall for that dude, right? Nobody has ever said a bad word about him. You ask any player who's ever played for him, they all absolutely love the dude. Every single one of them. But we all know that this isn't Care Bears, right? Football teams aren't built on just love. You cannot win a Super Bowl based on how many hugs you get from the guys playing for you. You need a little bit more than that, and I don't know if Anthony Weaver has that. If you look at the Dolphins' defensive ranks for this year, they're not that impressive. The best in any metric on this list right now is their yards per game. That's 22nd. I have it written as 22ndth. My bad on that one. But still, that doesn't scream to me a guy you have to get in your building. It's been said, his defenses are a little bit complex. He's been in Miami for 2 years. The first year he got there, players said, yeah, it took us a little bit to get it down. His second year, all the rookies, all the new guys they signed as free agents, they said the exact same thing. So he gives you a schematical advantage in a sense, more than John Harbaugh gave you, but I don't think he's the best defensive mind in football. I definitely don't even think he's the best defensive mind available. The hiring, while it wouldn't be too shocking, I don't think it'd be too exciting either. I wouldn't be over the moon, pumped up about it, and be like the Baltimore Ravens just knocked this one absolutely out of the park. So those are from Tom Pelissero. Adam Schefter weighed in as well. Now, these ones are a little bit more rumors. Tom Pelissero's report, that was legitimate. That was news. The Ravens did request to, interview both of those candidates. These are just some guys that Adam Schefter thinks the Ravens will be looking at. Now, he's as locked in and as sourced as anybody in the game. So anything he says, I think we should take to heart. He said, I think Jesse Minter is a spot-on nomination, selection, discussion. Another coach that I expect to get interviewed for that job would be DC Anthony Weaver, of course. This was said earlier today, and he hit that right on the head. Now, we've been talking about Minter since early October. This is a screenshot from a show that went out October 6th, 2025. We did John Harbaugh replacements after the loss to the Texans in Week 5, and Jesse Minter was number 1 because we just knew it made a ton of sense. Obviously, he spent time here in Baltimore. He's coached under Mike Macdonald. And what he's doing with Los Angeles this season and last is really, really impressive. He followed Jim Harbaugh after they won a national championship together in 2023. And that Chargers defense is top 10 in every single metric that we're showing you. Yards per game, yards per play, points per game, touchdowns allowed, EPA per play. He's got that thing humming. He's incredibly likable. He's got great leadership skills, and a bunch of people see him as one of the top young and up-and-coming first-time head coach options. And like I said, he was in Baltimore, Mike Macdonald. Now, they didn't cross over when Mike Macdonald was the defensive coordinator, but they still crossed over as position coaches together, both on this staff. I wouldn't hate it at all from a defensive mind standpoint. Now, not to say it's perfect. Got my concerns if you're going to hire Jesse Minter. That concern is, how is he going to hire an offensive mind? He spent a lot of time in college football. You don't make a ton of NFL connections in college football. Now, he's successful at that level, obviously. Won a national championship with Michigan. But he was doing that coaching for Jim Harbaugh. I don't really love anybody on the offensive side of the football from the Jim Harbaugh coaching tree. Like, that's the thing is, whoever you bring in as head coach, they have to bring in a kick-ass offensive coordinator. Or they've got to be one themselves. Because you've got an MVP at quarterback. You've got a Hall of Famer at quarterback and running back. Like, right now, I'm not interested in anyone from Los Angeles offensively that he could bring with him. Quarterback's coach doesn't do it for me. Their offensive coordinator is Greg Roman. That would be absolutely disgusting. And that's not to say he can't go outside of his tree and outside of the guys he's worked with. But from a connection standpoint, he just hasn't built as many as other guys because he's only been in Baltimore and Los Angeles from an NFL perspective over the last decade or so. Of those two guys, which would you rather? JM for Jesse Minter or AW for Anthony Weaver? You let me know your answer down below in the comment section. We got to give a quick shout out to our awesome friends over at Ethos for sponsoring today's video. As you know, my wife Kennedy and I got married almost 2 years ago. I imagine that we'll buy a house and start having kids sometime relatively soon. And if something were to happen to me, the last thing I want the people I love to worry about is them being able to pay the bills. So I trust Ethos to keep them protected. After watching someone close to me go through loss, I saw how quickly grief can turn into financial stress. That experience changed how I think about protecting my family. Life insurance isn't about expecting the worst, but it's about making sure the people you love are supported no matter what. That's why I recommend life insurance through Ethos. You can get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. Application times, of course, may vary. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage. Application times and rates may vary. Mina Kimes also weighed in. NFL Insider, works for ESPN, says the Ravens instantly became the most appealing head coach job in football. First off, I could not agree more. Automatically, you inherit a guy like Lamar Jackson. You inherit an unbelievable offensive weapon in Derrick Henry. She said, I would strongly consider Brian Flores if I were them. And if you know, you've watched us for any time, hell, if you watched our video that came out this morning, or if you watched the video that came out last night, Brian Flores has been and will be until this thing is over my number one candidate. First thing I like a lot is Brian Flores has always loved Lamar Jackson. Every time he's brought him up, he has had glowing things to say about our QB. So I know he would be chomping at the bit to coach him, right? And a lot of people don't want to coach him because apparently he was a failure in Miami when his last 2 seasons there were the first back-to-back winning seasons in Miami since 2003. That's right. The season they fired him, they went 9-8, ladies and gentlemen. Year before that, 10-7, and he got tanked. The reasons he got fired is because he refused to tank. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. And he was a little bit harsh on Tua Tagovailoa. Probably didn't handle a rookie quarterback well. I don't think he thought he was very good. And was he wrong? Never wrong, just early. Everybody kind of realizes that now, right? Like I said, first back-to-back winning season since 2003. They fired him because he just didn't want to tank. Stephen Ross, the owner, didn't like him. Reportedly offered him $100,000 for every loss that season. Don't believe me? ESPN reported itself that Brian Flores alleges the Dolphins owner, Stephen Ross, attempted to incentivize him to tank or purposely lose games shortly after he was hired in 2019, with Ross allegedly offering Flores $100K for every loss that season. Flores says the team won games late in the season. Dolphins general manager Chris Greer told him that Ross was mad that the on-the-field success was compromising the team's draft position. And they were horrible roster-wise those years. And he still had winning seasons. He checks every single box. Physicality. I love the way he schemes up his defenses. Players, he can relate to them, I believe. Sure, he maybe failed in Miami, but that's the great thing about failing. You know what you did wrong. You're incentivized not to do that same thing again. Also, it would be perfect because he could bring over Josh McCown, a guy who's learned under Kevin O'Connell, one of the brightest offensive minds in our sport. And he's not the play caller over there in Minnesota because Kevin O'Connell is. So you hire Brian Flores. He brings in Josh McCown. He calls the defensive plays, just hires a defensive coordinator to, be his eyes and ears out there. Like, it makes too much sense. It's too easy. So easy that I kind of sit here right now, and I doubt that they're going to end up doing it. I think they should. I hope they do, but it just feels too simple right now. Should the Ravens hire Brian Flores? Give me a yes or a no down below in the comment section. Play Steve Bisciotti. Act like you're the owner, ladies and gents, and we'll let me know your answer. We're going to get out of here. Okay, we'll be keeping you up to date with all the newest head coach buzz, news, rumors. It's a place to be. Subscribe, follow me on socials. We'll see you next time.